eCycleWorld.com. You're here with Chris and Jenn Peris with the Yamaha Champions Riding School, and today we're going to talk to you a little bit about stretching. It's something we started doing more and more at the schools, and we've just had huge success with it. Students that weren't able to move around on the motorcycle get a little flexibility, and all of a sudden they can put their body where they need to get their bike to work for them a little bit better. And also it helps with our focus. We're doing something for a pretty extended period of time. We need to keep bringing that focus back, work on those breathings, all skills that we could use on our motorcycles. So what are we going to do today?
All right, so today we are going to focus on hip openers, and it's going to be a full just standing series. So the nice thing about today is that you need nothing but yourself. You don't need any props, no yoga mat, no strap, no bolsters. You can do it in jeans, you could do it in tennis shoes.
Don't even need talent.
It might be handy to have either a wall or a motorcycle or something near you for balance. But beyond that, we're going to show you just a standing series. Open up those hips, and hopefully by opening up those hips, you'll get better body position. And by using better body position, you can use a little less lean angle, so you could be faster and safer. So let's start just standing. Strengthen your legs, hands on your hips. Go ahead and bring one knee up into your chest. And we're going to start with standing hip circles. So bring that knee out nice and wide, really exaggerating the circles. And when you come across, bring it across the midline and back up into your chest. We're going to be doing one side for each of these exercises, but when you're at home, do obviously both sides, and we suggest about 5 to 7 repetitions of all of the poses, or 5 to 7 breaths for the holding postures. Go ahead and bring your knee back up into your chest and switch directions. So we're going to cross the midline, bring the knee out nice and wide. So for all your standing postures, what you want to do is really strengthen your standing leg, press your tailbone down, bring your abdomen in, and stretch up through the crown of your head.
If you're struggling with balance with this, you can always hold on to a bike or a wall while you're doing it.
Absolutely. So the next one we're going to do is called a hip compression. So we're going to interlace our fingers to the webbing of our fingers, and we're going to go ahead and bring that knee up into the chest, grabbing just below the knee, and using the strength of your arms to bring that knee up towards your armpit. So bringing that knee up towards your chest, along the side of your torso, bringing it into your armpit, and while you're hanging out, you can circle that ankle. Get a little ankle rotation both directions, and go ahead and release. You'd repeat that on the other side. We're going to go ahead and show you a quad stretch, but when done properly, it also stretches the front of your hips. I'll show it to you from the side. Chris is going to show it to you from the front. Standing on one leg, you're going to take your hand, grabbing the outside, the pinky toe edge of your foot, and bring that heel towards your glute. What you want to do here is make sure your knee's not forward or back, but that your knees are glued together. Bring your elbows back, chest up, and then press that tailbone down so that you move the stretch into that front, the front of your hip. Abdomen in, standing up nice and tall, and go ahead and release. Okay, so the next one we're going to do is going to require a wide stance. So take your feet nice and wide, and by wide stance, your ankles should be under your wrists. Most of us need to take a little wider stance. So bring your feet parallel to one another, and then turn one foot out 90 degrees. Keeping your hips and your chest and your shoulders square. Go ahead and bend that front knee to or towards 90 degrees. So eventually, what you want to work towards is that thigh parallel with the ground, but making sure your stance is wide enough that your knee doesn't go past your ankle. So keeping your knee stacked above your ankle or behind, and making sure that front knee doesn't cave in. So if it's caving in, you really need to use the strength of that inner thigh and that hip to rotate it back so that it's directly in line with your center toe. And then start moving with your breath. Inhale and exhale. And start linking the movements of your breath together. Focusing the mind follows the breath. So control your breath, control your movements, control your mind. And on the last one, go ahead and hold it. Stretch your arms out nice and wide, stretching through your arms, pressing down and stretching out through your feet. Sit a little deeper and go ahead and release. All right, so we're gonna bring our stance a little shorter and we're gonna turn our toes out about 45 degrees. We're gonna take a nice deep squat, making sure our hands are not resting on our knees, somewhere on our thighs. Go ahead and use your hands to push those inner thighs back and sit deep into a nice deep squat. Go ahead and drop the opposite shoulder across the body, as if you're dropping your shoulder and chest across the tank of your bike. Again, use the strength in your hands and your arms to push against the inner thigh, pushing out and away to get a deeper stretch. And when you've done about 5 to 7 each direction, go ahead and take it back to center and sit nice and deep one last time. Nicely done. And come on back up. All right, so Chris is gonna use the bike for balance for what's called tree pose. If you don't need a bike or anything, feel free to start working on your balance, but you're gonna bring the sole of your foot up into your inner thigh. If that's a little too much, bring your foot to your calf or to your ankle, working towards bringing it up into the inner thigh and really stretching out right here, out and down through that knee, and squeezing into the midline, starting to work on engaging that midline and that core by squeezing the inner thigh, the inside the sole of your foot to the inner thigh and the inner thigh towards the sole of your foot, really squeezing them together to build that strength. Bring your elbows together, interlace your fingers, and do figure eights, rolling out those wrists, and go ahead and do it both directions. Keeping those fingers interlaced, go ahead and stretch the palms of your hands forward, and then take them up nice and high. Bringing that chin up and out of the chest. Again, standing tall, stretch out through that hip and that knee, and go ahead and release. All right, our next one is called a figure four. So this one, you can use a helmet if it's handy, if the ground seems a little too far away. But what we're gonna do, standing on one foot, we're gonna create a figure four, hence the name. And right here, already open up that hip, pushing that, moving that knee back, squaring those hips, and start bending your standing leg. Pushing those hips down and back, getting a nice stretch in that hip, and working your hands to or towards the ground, or a helmet or a chair. Flex that bent leg, flex the bent foot, and sit down nice and deep. And go ahead and stand up. And then you would repeat on the other side. All right, we have one last one. This is one of Chris's favorites. It's called Standing Happy Baby. So you're gonna stand on one foot with your arm inside your thigh. You're gonna grab the outer edge of your foot. Then you're gonna bring your foot up so that your shin is parallel with the ground. And then with the strength of your arm, you're gonna pull that knee back. So I'm gonna show you quickly from the side what that looks like. Inside the thigh, grab the outside of the foot, shin parallel, and pull that knee back.